"Something's here," whispered a frightened Anne. Minerva jerked, almost severing the circle, before Ed clamped down tightly on her hand. Her eyes glassed over as she focused on one of the wavering candles. "Ed?" Anne was nervous now. "What are you doing? Can this woman really help find Celia?" "Your daughter is neither among the living nor the dead. She is stuck in between, her location hidden from me. Dark forces are at play here. Something sinister is interfering with my sight." "What does that mean?" cried out a shaking Anne, terror piercing her heart like a knife, cutting her to the core. Ed squeezed her hand, offering what meager comfort he could. Minerva gasped as the interfering entity came into her field of vision. Suddenly her eyes rolled back in her head, her body shaking with forceful convulsions. She opened her mouth, issuing forth a foul-smelling black substance. She choked on the thick sludge, splattering it upon the table in clotted, shimmering droplets. A deep, malevolent voice boomed from Minerva. "Celia belongs to me now. Hold no illusions. She is gone from the mortal plane." The medium frothed at the mouth as she continued to shake. Without warning, she released the Dickinson's hands with a startled cry. The circle was broken. The effect was immediate. The candle snuffed out, plunging the room into a shadowy gloom. Plates flew from the china cabinet, shattering upon the floor into a heap of razor-sharp pieces. Invisible hands slung the pieces through the air, slicing Anne across the arms and face. She cowered in her chair, the fright almost too much for her fragile heart. The temperature chilled, and puffs of breath lingered barely visible in the bitter cold. Minerva cried out, "Who are you?" "Ah!" She cut off. "Anne!" Ed pushed back from the table, desperate to reach his wife. Disembodied, malicious laughter permeated the frigid air surrounding the table and chilling the Dickinsons to their cores. The laughter taunted them mercilessly as it changed direction, sweeping around the room so that it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Through the darkness, Ed groped for his wife's hand. He could barely make out a bulking figure lurking in the shadows. Enshrouded as it was, he could not see any details, but the ominous aura emanating from it was unmistakable. The smell of brimstone assaulted the trio as the demonic fire illuminated the room. Anne cried out in primal fear. Ed raised his arms as the figure came into view, just before something sharp plunged into his chest. Anne screamed, believing her husband dead, as blood splurted from his gaping wound. "Ed, don't leave me, please!" The vicious laughter multiplied, coming from numerous voices. Anne closed her eyes and sobbed. Her husband was bleeding out before her. Beside her, she could hear the foul creatures attacking the medium. Something was tearing into her flesh, ripping and chewing in rapid succession. That poor woman, she was only trying to help us.